folks, this is Reggie, and thanks for joining me. I appreciate your time as always, and it gives me great pleasure to be able to assist you or offer some value to you, and I hope this video will actually do that for you. As many of you are probably aware, I've been writing a series of articles that deal with the use of Six Sigma to help you improve your network marketing opportunity. And some of you have actually come to me and said, Reggie, look, it's taking you too long to write those articles. Why don't you just hurry up and give me a brief overview of Six Sigma so I can determine whether or not it's something that I want to use for my business opportunities or ventures. So for those of you that have made that request to me, I decided to put together this video so I could go ahead and give you a broad overview of what Six Sigma is, and you can start generating ideas as to how you can use this methodology to achieve the goals that you have set for yourself as far as making improvements and how you go about getting things accomplished. So let's begin by saying that Six Sigma is a continuous improvement process, which means that we are going to use a defined methodology in order to determine how to go about improving our process so that we do a better job at accomplishing our task and our goals on a regular basis. So when we are looking at the use of Six Sigma, we're basically saying that we're going to try to set up a system whereby which we're able to do things right the first time, every time, virtually eliminating the defects that are associated with our process. Now, I've used the term process a number of times, and when we talk about process or a process, we're talking about a series of steps and actions that are actually used to bring about a desired outcome. So let's take a look in a little more detail about some of the key elements of Six Sigma, and we'll use those key elements to help define what we will be trying to accomplish as we move forward down the continuous improvement path. So one of the things we want to make sure that we understand is that Six Sigma is customer oriented. So it's highly dependent upon what the customer's needs are, which means that we must also understand who the customers are. And your customers can be internal customers or external customers. The internal customers are customers that are actually part of the system or process that we are actually addressing. So think along these lines. For instance, if you have a business, your internal customers would be potentially the managers associated with the business or other employees that are associated with the business itself. Now, when we start talking about external customers, these would be people that are outside of the business. For instance, if you are manufacturing a product, an external customer could be an end user of your product, the people that are actually purchasing the product, for instance. Or if it's a manufacturing facility, there could be external customers along the lines of, say, regulatory agencies. Those are customers by which we must comply with things that they have actually placed on us, or rules or regulations that have been put in place in order for us to continue to do business. So once again, customers can be internal or external, so that's why it's important to understand which particular customers we are addressing with our improvement efforts so that we can make sure that we are meeting the needs of those customers. So another thing that we need to understand and recognize is that Six Sigma is data oriented. So we want to use data to help us determine whether or not we are performing at the level we need to perform at. And data helps us make an objective assessment, so therefore it's not actually going to be subject to subjectivity, which means that when we make the changes in order to get the desired outcome, we should be able to quantify and basically prove that we have accomplished what we set out to accomplish. So we need to keep these things in mind as we move forward, because they are important as far as us being able to accomplish our overall objective. So let's talk a little bit more about the phases that are involved in Six Sigma, because any challenge or any opportunity that we look at, we can actually sum it up into 5 major phases. And once we go through these phases, we can assure ourselves that we have done what we need to do in order to make the improvements that we seek. So when we talk about Six Sigma, we talk about the DMAIC process, DMAIC. And DMAIC is D-M-A-I-C. And these actually stand for the 5 phases that are associated with Six Sigma. The first phase is the define phase. The second phase is the measure. The third is the analyze phase. I is improve. And the 5th phase is control. So any opportunity or any challenge that we're addressing from a Six Sigma standpoint will go through all of these phases. So now let's talk about why each one of the phases are important. In the define phase, we are basically stating why it's important for us to work on the particular opportunity or challenge that we are setting out to improve upon. And the reason this is important is because we will need resources in order to accomplish what we want to accomplish from an improvement standpoint. And those resources usually can get summed up into manpower and dollars. So why is it even important? Why don't we just go blast ahead and try to make improvements and hope for the best? Well, because anyone that works in any form of business, or if you have a job, you understand that there's not just one thing that we have to do at any given time. There's usually a host of things that can be worked on. So we must justify working on this particular opportunity over all other things that we might have on our plate. So in the define phase, we're going to use tools and techniques to help make sure that not only are we working on what we need to work on, but we're also going to make sure that we are employing the right strategies and techniques to work on those things and get them done in a timely and effective manner. Also in the define phase, we are making sure that we understand who the customers are, what's important to those customers, and who we're going to need to get involved with this overall improvement process so that we bring the right knowledge and experience to the table. All these things happen in the define phase. And like we said, we won't be experts when we finish going through this, because there are a ton of tools and techniques that we can employ to make sure that we're on the right track. But at least we will have a good understanding of what Six Sigma is. Now, in the second phase, which is the measure phase, what we're actually going to be doing is taking a look at the data that's associated with the process. In other words, what data are we generating that lets us know how well the process is performing or is not performing? And in some cases, you may find that data does not exist. In those cases, you have to develop a data collection system so that you can generate data that will allow us to objectively take a look at the process and evaluate how well it's performing. Now, if we don't have data, then we may have to actually purchase equipment in some instances to generate that data, but by some means we must come up with a way to consistently and reliably collect data that tells us how well our system is performing. Now, once we have data in hand, we will be able to perform statistical analyses that will ensure us that indeed we have made a change in the process, and a change for the better is what we're going after. So in the measure phase, we will have our focus on the data and the use of that data to make sure that we understand how we're performing today, and also be able to determine, as a result of reevaluating and looking at the data and continuously monitoring it, whether or not we've actually made the improvements that we have sought.